Have you ever looked up at a giant airplane in the sky and wondered, how does that thing even stay up there? It's a marvel of modern engineering and physics. It's a question that has fascinated people for ages. From the Wright brothers' first flight to the massive jets we see today, the journey of flight has been incredible. We see birds soaring effortlessly, but planes? They seem so different from the natural flyers we observe in the sky. They're massive metal birds with hundreds of people inside. It seems impossible, right? Yet every day thousands of flights take off and land safely around the world. But don't worry, the answer isn't magic, it's science. The principles of aerodynamics, thrust, lift and drag all play crucial roles in making flight possible. And the science behind how airplanes conquer gravity is actually pretty cool. Let's break it down. Lift is generated by the wings, thrust is provided by the engines, and drag is the resistance the plane faces as it moves through the air. Get ready to become an aeronautics expert as we explore the forces that make flight possible. We'll dive into the history of aviation, the technological advancements, and the future of air travel. The dream of flight has been around for centuries. Early inventors and dreamers sketched out designs and built prototypes, many of which failed spectacularly. But then in 1903, the Wright brothers achieved the first powered, controlled flight. It was a moment that changed the world forever. Fast forward to today, and we have airplanes that can travel thousands of miles, connecting people in places like never before. The advancements in materials, engine technology, and aerodynamics have made air travel safer and more efficient, and the future looks even more exciting. Engineers and scientists are working on new designs that could revolutionize air travel once again. From electric planes to supersonic jets, the sky is truly the limit. So the next time you see a plane soaring high above, remember the incredible journey of innovation and discovery that makes it all possible. And who knows, maybe one day, you'll be part of the next big breakthrough in aviation. Up, up, and away. The sky is not the limit, it's just the beginning. To understand how airplanes fly, we need to understand the four main forces at play: lift, thrust, gravity, and drag. Think of them like an invisible team having a tug-of-war with the airplane. Lift pushes the plane up, thrust pushes it forward, gravity pulls it down, and drag tries to slow it down. When these forces are balanced just right, voila, you get flight! Let's start with lift, the force that does the heavy lifting, pun intended. An airplane's wings are specially shaped, kind of like a bird's. The top is curved and the bottom is flatter. When the plane moves forward, air flows over and under the wings. The curved top makes the air travel faster, which lowers the air pressure above the wing. Meanwhile, the slower air underneath pushes up with higher pressure. This difference in pressure creates lift, pushing the plane upward. Now let's talk about thrust. Thrust is a fundamental concept in aviation, and is essential for the movement of any aircraft. Without thrust, planes would be unable to take off, fly, or even taxi on the runway. It's the force that propels the aircraft forward, overcoming the resistance of air and gravity. You know how you need to run to get a kite flying? The same principle applies to airplanes. Just as you need to create enough speed and force to lift the kite into the air, airplanes need to generate sufficient thrust to lift off the ground and soar into the sky. The act of running with a kite is a simple yet effective way to understand the basics of thrust. Well, airplanes need a way to move forward too, and that's where thrust comes in. When an airplane is on the runway, it needs to build up enough speed to achieve liftoff. This is achieved through the engines, which generate the necessary thrust to propel the aircraft forward. The engines work tirelessly to push the plane against the air, creating the forward motion required for takeoff. Planes use powerful engines to create thrust. These engines are marvels of engineering, designed to produce immense power and efficiency. They are the heart of the aircraft, converting fuel into the energy needed to overcome air resistance and gravity. The engines roar to life, providing the necessary force to lift the plane off the ground and into the sky. These engines can be jet engines or propellers. Jet engines are commonly found on commercial airliners and military jets, while propeller engines are often used on smaller aircraft and older models. Each type of engine has its own unique way of generating thrust, but the end goal is the same: to propel the aircraft forward. Jet engines blast hot air backward, creating a powerful thrust that pushes the plane forward. The process involves compressing air, mixing it with fuel, and igniting it to produce a high-speed exhaust. This exhaust is expelled out of the back of the engine, generating the forward thrust needed for flight, while propellers spin and push air backward. Propeller engines work by rotating blades that cut through the air, creating a difference in air pressure that generates thrust. The spinning blades push air backward, resulting in a forward motion that propels the aircraft. This backward force creates an equal and opposite force that pushes the plane forward, in accordance with Newton's third law of motion. This law states that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So as the engines push air backward, the plane is pushed forward with an equal force, allowing it to move through the air and gain altitude, like an invisible hand giving it a continuous push. This continuous push is what keeps the airplane moving forward, allowing it to cruise at high altitudes and travel long distances. The balance of forces ensures a smooth and stable flight, making air travel one of the safest and most efficient modes of transportation. Section 5. Gravity and drag. The forces fighting back. Okay, we've got lift pushing up and thrust pushing forward. But what about the forces trying to bring our plane down? That's where gravity and drag come in. Gravity is the force that pulls everything towards the center of the Earth, including airplanes. Drag is like air resistance. It's the force that tries to slow the plane down as it moves through the air. Section 6. Finding the balance, how planes stay in the air. So, with all these forces pushing and pulling, how does a plane actually stay up in the air? It's a fascinating interplay of physics and engineering that allows these massive machines to soar gracefully through the skies. Let's break it down step by step. It's all about finding the right balance. The four main forces acting on an airplane are lift, weight, thrust, and drag. Lift is the upward force created by the wings as air flows over them. Weight is the force of gravity pulling the plane down. Thrust is the forward force produced by the engines, and drag is the resistance the plane encounters as it moves through the air. When the lift generated by the wings is greater than the force of gravity pulling the plane down, the plane climbs. This is achieved by the shape of the wings, known as an airfoil, which is designed to create a pressure difference between the upper and lower surfaces, resulting in lift. Pilots can increase lift by adjusting the angle of attack, which is the angle between the wing and the oncoming air. When thrust is greater than drag, the plane accelerates and flies faster. Thrust is generated by the plane's engines, which can be jet engines or propellers. Jet engines work by expelling exhaust gases at high speed, propelling the plane forward. Propellers, on the other hand, work by pulling or pushing air to create thrust. Pilots can control the amount of thrust by adjusting the throttle. Pilots control these forces using the plane's controls, like the flaps on the wings and the rudder on the tail. Flaps can be extended or retracted to increase or decrease lift and drag. The rudder, located on the vertical tail fin, is used to control yaw, which is the left or right movement of the plane's nose. By coordinating these controls, pilots can maintain stable flight and make precise maneuvers. To adjust the lift, thrust, and drag and keep the plane flying smoothly, pilots must constantly monitor and adjust the plane's controls. This requires a deep understanding of aerodynamics and a keen sense of situational awareness. Modern airplanes are equipped with advanced avionics systems that assist pilots in managing these forces, providing real-time data and automated controls to ensure a safe and efficient flight. So, the next time you look up and see a plane soaring through the sky, remember the intricate dance of forces and the skillful hands at the controls that make it all possible. Section 7. Fun Fact Time. Did you know that the Wright brothers' first successful airplane, the Wright Flyer, had a wingspan wider than a Boeing 747? It's true. The Flyer's wings were a whopping 40 feet and 4 inches long, while a 747's wingspan is around 211 feet. This just goes to show that even with limited technology, the fundamental principles of flight still applied. Section 8. Keep exploring the world of flight. The world of aviation is full of fascinating facts and discoveries. From the aerodynamics of bird flight to the development of supersonic jets, there's always something new to learn. So the next time you see an airplane soaring through the sky, remember the amazing science that makes it all possible.